Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the GeoTrip. Liaika, aka Geo, here speaking to you. Actually, coming in live from Houston this edition with my favorite, I guess, only co host, Dr. Prince. We are back and we're excited because this episode is just kind of a housekeeping episode for us. Dr. Prince, how are you?
I am well. How have you been? It's been way too long, right?
It has been way too long since we've actually recorded together. But we have been speaking offline, so I feel like it hasn't, but the audience really has not collectively heard us together yet. But we have a lot of exciting new episodes for them that are around the corner with both of us.
So, this is episode number 8. So, we thought it would be fun to take a look back at where we started and see how things have changed since then, and maybe take a look towards the future and what we want this podcast to continue to develop into. So for those of you who haven't checked out episode 1, Liaga and I first met when we collaborated on Black in Geoscience Week all the way back in 2020, and decided, wow, we should totally start a podcast. One of those pandemic decisions.
2020 feels so far away now that you say it. And the fact that we do also have to be honest with the audience and say not only was it a pandemic decision, but it was a pivotal decision based on reckonings in academia also and being from the same island. So let's include that.
But totally one of those pandemic decisions that I do not regret. But the idea and the aim was to kind of use current events and news to kind of make the relationship and show people the unexpected ways that geoscience kind of underpins all of our lives. Are we still on that original trajectory?
That's such an interesting question because I would say yes, we are, but we are definitely more intentional about where the GeoTrip will be going. And we definitely see this now as a long-term and a needed project because yes, it was a pandemic decision. Yes, we had that reckoning or that appreciation for showing how geology makes up, partakes, or informs everyday life. But we're also academics at heart and scholars at core, where we appreciate the teaching and the learning. So informed by AGU plain language summary, I think we now actually have a roadmap of sorts for the GeoTrip. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so. And we kind of started with a really hot topic. I couldn't resist the pun, I'm sorry. But we invited a guest on to talk about something that was currently happening when there was the volcanic eruption and the of the last Soufriere volcano on the island of St. Vincent. And we just kept on having guests since then, right?
We did. And one thing, if you have been rocking with us, see, pun for pun.
I like it.
From episode 1 through now, you'd notice that we've definitely taken a more technical route. What we've done is we've made sure that it's in language that anyone and everyone can appreciate, from geos early in their career to non-geos, from people, students, adults who may be interested in STEM and don't have the resources or know where to start. We've started to build a foundation that they can listen to the GeoTrip as a good starting point for geology, taking complex topics, simplifying them or building on them. And we've also shown not only how it can be spoken about in everyday language, but how it reaches or how it collaborates or integrates with different sciences, because we had several great episodes. Dr. Fuller, Dr. Scarlett, where they came on and they talked about geology, but they also brought in some of our favorite topics: colonialism, academia, going corporate. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. And I think a couple of my favorite episodes so far have been the ones where we just get to talk to people about their experiences in the geosciences. I think back to the episodes that we did and how to get into graduate school and what the experience is like as an international student studying in the US. So we started on that path and I feel like we're still on it, but it's expanded to be really intentional, I think is the word that you said that sums it up best. And it's been a real journey so far.
Along with the intention, I like to pat us on the back because we're also taking a more sustainable path, in the sense that using media or different ways to share and educate in STEM is really at the forefront right now. It's getting a lot of attention. You're seeing actual sessions and panels at conferences for it because all this speaks to becoming more accessible for differently able people, accessible for people in different socioeconomic societies, accessible for people who don't necessarily have transport. And I think the pandemic really kind of pushed this to the forefront when the world stood still and people couldn't move around how they would like to or how they were used to. So coming out with our podcast, I think we're on the cutting edge right now. So high five, air high five. I think we're kind of cool. Can we throw up like
Yes.
signs?
But yeah, I agree. And I think kind of developing that platform and a place where stories that we don't hear too often, but definitely need to be told, has been one of the more rewarding things of this experience so far for me.
I totally agree. I love that we are getting to speak to, or we're intentionally hosting guests from marginalized communities, and that we're using the term marginalized to be applicable to cultural groups, religious, socioeconomic groups, and ethnic groups, so that upcoming students, early career professionals can hear voices and learn about the work of people who they can identify with, right? Because I think we've talked about offline because we still have not met in person, which I just realized the other day. But we've talked about so much how our stories have been shaped by seeing people in spaces that we can identify with and what that has done for our self confidence, our imposter syndrome, and just also for our drive and our becoming or continuing consistency to develop. And so I think I like where we're going. Honestly, I could say I love where we're going.
I do too. When we started, I was excited, and a year later, the excitement has only grown. It's changed because now I feel like we're a part of something, and it's bigger than just you and me. I feel like I hope that we're making a difference.
So can I jump in since you said
Yeah,
it's bigger than us and share what we're working on?
sure.
So listeners, thank you for the feedback. Thank you for being the listeners. Thank you for the encouragement and support. Because without you and without some of our upcoming guests, Dr. Prince and I would not have taken the leap of faith that we're taking, which is starting to bring our contributions in the STEM field, in geoscience, to public. Meaning, do you want to tell them what that means? What
You're
we
on the
just submitted?
floor. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we just submitted together our first abstract, and fingers crossed, we don't know if we've been selected yet, so I wouldn't announce it. But look out for us on Twitter. We're going to start
Fingers
actually using
crossed.
our account. But we've submitted our first in what I hope will be many conference abstracts where we will be presenting on the GeoTrip, the use of podcasts in science, the ways that we are seeking to contribute to how we make geology and geoeducation more accessible, especially in or for our marginalized and underrepresented scientists. And I am so incredibly proud of this initiative, especially since my PhD study and research has become cross functional to include community research, ethical studies, and reflections on how STEM treats those in marginalized communities and how we can actually learn from them, even though sometimes their means of documentation is not considered professional by Western standards. So I know that's a lot of words. Super excited. Dr. Prince, reel me in before I get carried away. And I'll let you, I'll just kind of shoot it back to you.
Yeah, we like it when you get carried away on the podcast. I think that's what people show up to hear. But again, none of this would be possible without all of y'all. And we do appreciate you for tuning in and listening to us. And the feedback so far has been overwhelmingly positive. I hear a lot from more non-geoscientist listeners, and they're like so excited to just learn. They're like, I have no clue what I'm going to learn about, but I always come away having learned something. So we appreciate you all for sticking with us through this journey, and we look forward to seeing where we go together next. So as we get ready to kind of start disseminating, our work and sharing what we've been doing, look out. We may engage with you to get a little more feedback, maybe get a little bit more data on our audience so that we can make sure that we're serving you in the best possible way. Yeah.
Agreed. And in order to do that, we are going to start using our socials more. So our Twitter account, we'll definitely start signing off saying what our Twitter handle is. But before we kind of wrap up today, I definitely also want to say thank you for our guests who've trusted us as we found our footing. Most podcasts die after 3 episodes. I don't know if you know that or not, but literally people started thinking it's going to be piece of cake, not realizing how much prep work it takes and also how much courage it takes as a host and also as an interviewer to do justice or to properly tell the stories or let our guests tell their stories to get their trust. So we just really want to say thank you to our guests so far. And we want to invite you, if you are in geology and you belong to a marginalized or underrepresented group, whether it's related to socioeconomic, culture, religion, ethnicity, accessibility, even research, please do not hesitate to contact us. You can find both of us on Twitter under our personal handles. I am at Future Rift Doc. You can find Dr. Prince at
Dr. Kyron Prince.
And you can also find the Traveling Geo at the Traveling Geo. Reach out. We will be happy to talk with you, see how we align, make sure that we're both equally comfortable and believe in what the story that we are sharing or about to share with others. And we'd love to have you on. This is a non-for-profit organization. This is purely for educational purposes, educational enrichment, and to serve as a resource for our community. And our community is I think being from Trinidad and Tobago, both of us, it's fair to say, our community is a very multicultural, very integrated. We have high respect for all groups and value the work that's being done. So please do not be afraid to reach out so that you can be a guest on this show. I was so nervous when we started this. I could not see more than 3 episodes in front of us. And I was honestly afraid of failing and putting myself out there with my name attached and failing. However, this has been such a joy. Dr. Prince has been remarkable. Our guests have been remarkable. And I can fully and sincerely tell you that I see at least the next 5 years in front of us in as the GeoTrip, this becoming a resource for those in the field and those outside in the field wanting to learn more. What about you, Dr. Prince? What do you think?
And my contract has me signed up for the next 5 years too, so I'm here whether I like it or not. Just kidding, just kidding.
People are gonna think I bully you behind the scenes.
We'll have to talk about the contract extensions, but it's been a lot of work with just you and I have to say thank you to Leika for holding it down while I have been going through just a bunch of life events. The past year has been crazy for me, both good and bad. But thank you, Leika, for just keeping this thing going. I think if not for your dedication and your consistency, we wouldn't be here celebrating 7 episodes and 1 year of the GeoTrip. So, flowers to you.
Thank you so much. And I'm sending it right back to you and welcoming our newest little doc on behalf of you because you keep me inspired, Dr. Prince. You have no idea. Like you said, life has been lifing, and life's when you are pursuing a PhD. Also, a lot of changes have been happening in my corner. Also, I have a lot of big decisions coming up right now. I am hoping that I could share with you all over the next few months. But the GeoTrip has been keeping me grounded and reminding me why I do what I do, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner. And the way that he trusts me with it and we allow each other creative liberty, I think it brings you, the audience, a pretty good show because, yeah, this is who we are. I don't know about him after his Netflix recommendations, though. I mean, not all of them were great.
Did you not enjoy Connected? Did you not enjoy Connected?
I did enjoy Connected, but
did you finish it?
Being honest, I did not finish it because I got swept up in Bridgerton and a bunch of other mindless TV. I'm not gonna lie. You try reading about riffs all day.
I actually really enjoyed that episode. I learned so much from these episodes too. Shout out to Fola. That was the absolute funniest episode yet. Thank you.
Man, yeah. Fola and I met similar to how you and I met, and I think that's probably a really nice kind of place to end on today. Thinking about community and connectivity within spaces that you are sometimes told you're not supposed to be a part of. How important that is. Do you wanna bring that home for us?
Well, I was thinking about community in a different way. I talked a bit before about non-geoscience community, but what's the message for the geoscience community? I think about ways that we can kind of help each other out. And if you want to help us out, share our podcast, encourage someone you know to listen. This is all about shortening the distances between us. We want to, give prominence to some of the people in our geoscience community that don't get the spotlight a lot of the time, and just share their stories. So help us out by sharing this podcast. Some of my students started listening to it, so that's been a little bit... am I a celebrity now? Are we celebrities?
Hashtag GeoTrip influencers. No, but you are right. I like how you mentioned, aside from being community, aside from showing up, also let's talk about it. Let's share. And please remember, especially if you're in academia, the majority of our guests have published. Go read their papers, cite it. Most of our guests are seeking tenureship or in line for tenureship. So, let's do each other service because there's such good work being done in the community that sometimes doesn't get recognized or sometimes gets overlooked. So yeah, let's be our brother and sisters keepers.
So, I'm going to put you on the spot, since you usually put our guests on the spot with our hot potato segment. Yeah. I went there. So I know you probably don't have a lot of time to be looking at TV shows right now. So what are you listening to?
Man, y'all would not believe what I'm listening to. I have actually just finally gotten involved in the world of audiobooks because, like you said, it's getting harder and harder for me to watch TV. But truthfully, I am listening to a playlist I have on Spotify called Take Me to Church, where it is modern day gospel songs. Apparently, there's something called trap gospel that my partner introduced me to. Caribbean Caribbean songs, just things keeping me inspired and sane and starting off my morning before I follow it with some Vibes Cartel.
Testify.
That is what I'm listening to. I go from Take Me to Church to Adi Adi Teacher and followed with a little
That brings up a particular Skillibang lyric to mind, but we can follow up on that off air.
Please do. But yeah, no, music is life for me. So yes, that's typically what I listen to. My Take Me to Church playlist, a little Vibes Cartel, a little Massacre Sizzler, anything that just really keeps me in motivated hustle mode, grind mode, and gratitude mode. Because yeah, it's a season for me to be grateful. It's definitely been trying to keep everything going.
I feel that.
Why? What are you watching? What are you listening to?
I'm just clearing my schedule. Beyonce dropped last night, so I just want to get in the right headspace to get that in this weekend, I'm
Are you
not
a
a
big Hype member?
huge Beyonce stan. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm in the beehive, but her music has been growing on me, and I need something to kind of get me pumped this weekend. So I think Renaissance is gonna fit the bill. Yeah.
I respect that. You know what? And I can second that. And hopefully the Bayhive does not come after us. But I have to say I became a fan of when she released her Lemonade project, but then also when I saw her on Homecoming on Netflix, watching her work ethic, man,
Crazy, right?
it is so admirable, and just the train of thought behind how she executes and how she learns before she executes. I think that's a lesson for everyone. So yeah, I guess maybe I'll check out Renaissance this weekend too.
All right, listening party.
Sounds good, but guys, thanks for rocking with us. Unless Dr. Prince has some words of enlightenment, I think we're gonna sign off and tell you tune in because our ninth episode is gonna be fire.
Trust and believe. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you again for sticking with us past episode 3, helping us to get to this episode 8. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our guests. And we're genuinely excited. And we hope you are too.